ever since the inception of the Retron 5, there's been an entire wave of nothing but drama, concern, questions, and theory, skepticism, all about the Retron 5 and Hyperkin in general, since it was shown off. It's something that's able to play literally upwards of 10 different systems. That's if you include the power-based converter for the Sega Master System. But there was all these questions about it, like how exactly are they going about something like this? We already knew that they were going to have to utilize emulation to some kind of degree, because if not, the system would be the size of, I don't know, the fucking CDI, which was basically like an aircraft carrier in itself. But this right here was going to be all done through emulation, and it was going to be based off of Android architecture. So a lot of people are wondering, how are they going to go and utilize this? Like, what emulators are they going to go and use? And the thing is, they never said who they were utilizing. They never contacted anybody. And that's where all of this is now starting to unravel itself. And Hyperkin might actually be in a shit ton of legal trouble. Now, there's tons of legal jargon whenever it comes to all of this, so the links that are going to be provided below, you'll probably want to reread them like several times over, because it's a ton of stuff to go and absorb and take in. So I'm going to do my very best to try to convey all of this as accurately as possible. So right now, there's a company called Retroarch, which I will have the website for them. They were the ones who actually ended up finding this themselves, and I'm assuming that one of the reasons that they want to go and take this system, open it up, and figure everything out is because they were probably some of the main people wondering, are you utilizing some of the stuff that we create ourselves without actually asking our permission? Because despite the fact that there's things that are open source and available to the public and stuff, there's a fine line between being able to go and use it and being able to go and profit off of it due to all the licensing that's attached to a lot of these, and the fact that you're supposed to at the very least get some kind of an agreement, some kind of an okay, and get somebody with authority to go and approve the usage of it within whatever product it is that you're putting out there. Unless you're just doing it free for general public, then it doesn't matter. But the Retron 5 obviously is a piece of hardware that's going out there with a retail value attached to it. Now, when they unearthed all of this, they did find that the front end, the actual, like, the front end of the Retron 5 that allows it to go through and find all the different games and find all the different emulators and stuff, that source code right there, technically it belongs to Retroarch, and they found that easily because it was so distinctive. They were just scrolling through all of it, and sure enough, there it was, plain as day. But they didn't find just that their stuff was being utilized. Matter of fact, every single thing that it's from Game Boy Advance to Game Boy, from Sega Genesis to Super Nintendo to NES, all of it is using emulators that the people at Hyperkin never got the authority to be able to use. Now, there's one thing that you actually have to keep in mind with this. Some of these are non-commercial use. Non-commercial use means that you're not supposed to be able to profit off of something like that at all. That's really bad. If you didn't get the authority and the okay to do something like that, that's strike number one. Strike number two is you're not supposed to be able to profit off of it, so there you go. Additionally, you then also have the fact that something like this, they're utilizing all of this, right? Well, now the way that those emulators are being experienced, they're kind of editing the way that they're being used, and in a lot of the user agreements for these emulators, it says specifically you're not meant to alter or edit them or mess with them at all without any kind of written consent or permission or anything. And that's something that Hyperkin was going and doing. Granted, they have the front end to go and do it, and they can try to use that as some kind of loophole of, oh, we're technically not doing it, we're just using this to be able to go and get to them, but it's kind of plain as day that they're going to be in a lot of fucking trouble with something like this. I mean, it's bad. Like, it's really, really fucking bad. Considering that there was already a lot of problems with this thing getting off the ground to begin with, and people had a lot of questions about how were they going to emulate that many things with... I mean, you'd have to write it from the ground up. Do you really have that many people there to go and do that? Of course not. they were going to go and utilize other things. But now that it's been made public, now they're kind of backpedaling, and they're like, oh no, here's all the sources for everything that we're using. See, everything's okay, right? Wrong. What I'm assuming that they're doing right now is they're probably thinking to themselves, well, these are just, you know, people that not anybody really knows. They don't have the financing, they don't have the funds, that they don't have the ability to go and take on an entire company that most definitely has a legal team there to go and protect them and to ensure the safety and the fucking namesake of a company like that so that they don't go under. But the thing is, with all the different emulators, and with Retroarch in general, with all of these people that were involved with creation of the stuff that they were utilizing, editing, and now are profiting from, and they were doing it without the written consent or permission of all of those authors and creators, this is just, you're up shit creek, no paddle whatsoever, no water wings, just mouth open, swimming. This is bad for them in general. And the thing is, I actually like the concept of something like this just for convenience sake. A little system that'll be able to play everything on a newer TV that I can just take everywhere without lugging around like, I don't know, how many fucking consoles that there is? Like tons? I like something like that. I know that there's always a large debate about clone consoles, but there's definitely a market for something like that. But how can you actually put it out on the market without doing your homework? And you can't fucking sit there and think to yourself, oh, well, we didn't know about it. You're not going to act a fucking fool and say that you weren't aware of something like that, because you most definitely were. You were aware that you were going and taking something else, putting it inside of your machine. Meanwhile, you weren't the actual original creator of that software, of those programs, of those emulators, none of that. And now that everything's been opened up and showcased to the entire world, now where do you go from here? Now, it hasn't actually been said whether or not any of the individuals who were involved in many of these projects are going to take any kind of legal action against Hyperkin for the Retron 5, but I can most definitely guarantee that somebody is going to at some point. Whether or not they're going to win is going to remain to be seen, but the thing is, with all the licensing that's attached to a lot of these, a lot of the vague wording for, you know, what's okay and what isn't, is mind-boggling after a while, because I actually did a fair amount of research, and even after a while, I became exhausted just reading through it. But if I was going and producing some kind of anything out there, I would make sure that everything inside of it was A-okay before it hit store shelves. Now, it would be one thing if the Retron 5 was still in the beta testing stages, and this was just being sent out to random individuals, but like, hey, we want you to go and try this out and give like a first impression of it. And keep in mind, beta testing well before it's even hitting retail store shelves, and all this information was found out, because then they could go back and try to right all these wrongs before it becomes something that's going to go into consumers' hands. That's whenever you go and the plot thickens, and you become fucked. They are now in the plot thickens and fucked stage of everything. So, what exactly are they going to do? I don't know. I don't know where it could go from here. All I know is all the information, like, it's literally plain as day. Like, down in the description, I'm going to provide everything so you can see every single link, and a lot of it's just going to look like gibberish because, well, not all of us are actual programmers, and none of us are that extremely tech-savvy to be like, oh, yes, I can actually understand that that's for, you know, the Game Boy Advance emulator, and I can see that they're utilizing it, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what the hell all that means, but at the very least, I have, like, some semblance of it. It's just enough to be able to convey the message through this video here. But Hyperkin, you done fucked up bad. And it's messed up because I went and got a Retron 5. I was all stoked about it, and then find out that you did this. But I can say with all certainty, I'm not surprised. Like, I'm really not, just because of all the rumors and all of the stuff that people had been wondering about, and it turns out a lot of it was actually true. Why would you be dumb enough to do something like that, knowing full well that this could easily be found out, is well beyond my understanding. Maybe they've got some ace in the hole, and they're like, oh no, we're actually A-okay, so even if they find the stuff, we'll be alright. If that's the case, then I mean, big ups to them, but it still makes you a shady, shitty fucking company to go and do something like that. I mean, you literally just had to go and get consent. That's it. You had to go and get consent, and you couldn't fucking do that. That's what blows me away. Like, all you had to do was get the okay. And if you had to go and pay to be able to utilize something like that, you're putting it out there for mass consumption and for a good fucking chunk of profit. You're saying that that wouldn't have been worth it to begin with, and something that if you got the okay for it, that you'd be able to utilize from that point forward in future products, or just continuously using this one. Just, it makes no fucking sense, and it's just one of those dumbass things that I wonder how the fuck they sat around thinking, let's go and do that. Dumb as goddamn sun-dried dog shit on the side of the road. And now it's gonna bite you in your fucking ass. This is something that could actually not only sink an entire company, but even if it doesn't, this tarnishes the entire reputation of a company to the point that not only will fans want to go and avoid you at all costs, but there's a lot of other companies out there that are going to badmouth you to the point that shit's going to be kind of tough for you. I mean, imagine a lot of retailers out there are thinking, oh man, do we really want to carry this product that's utilizing all this stuff illegally? Do we want to have our names attached to something like that, just knowing full well all the backlash for it? Fuck no, we don't want to go anywhere near that. So, just imagine that. And from what I'm hearing is that, you know, these are going to be pulled off of store shelves soon. That's one of the rumors going around right now. I'm hearing that Amazon might not even be carrying them, like Amazon officially, not the individuals who go on Amazon to go and sell things. And I'm hearing that Hyperkin might not actually be restocking. I'm just like, this is a fucking nightmare. Like, this is like literally a PR nightmare, and then some. Anyway, opinions and thoughts on this? Anybody out there who actually has a Retron 5? What do you think about this? Are you surprised? I'm actually not, but I thought that they'd at least be smart enough to fucking talk to the folks who made these goddamn emulators go and do it. It's just fucking dumb. Dumb, 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 dumb. And now there's going to be a ton of people like, just stick with emulators on PC or on a phone or some shit like that. Fuck this console and stuff. I'd like my real cards being, like, I want to be like, you know, Mega Man, jam Mega Man inside something and just go and play the real card with the real controllers on something. But, you know, that's just my preference. Like I said, it's a convenience thing. Just convenience. But anyway, nerds, nerdettes, and gamers, game the fuck on.